Welcome to Haunt Topic Radio, the podcast for haunters by haunters. These are our scary visions.
Guys, Facebook Live is going now. We're also on Zoom. If you have a Zoom link, if you're on our newsletter, you get a Zoom link. If you're out on Facebook, tonight we're talking to Alex Berland from Haunt Dolls and Conjured Media. Um, Last time I saw Alex was at Trans World, and we were all busy and crazy. And I think I talked to you maybe 5 minutes and kept going. So I was like, "Well, I'll catch up to you later." And you know how that goes.
Yeah.
I'm like, "Yeah, uh-huh."
You
So,
pull into your house at the end of the show and it's like, oh, damn, I forgot to go back and
yeah, all
talk
these
to
people
this
on
person.
Facebook, like I never got to see them or see them or see them. So
Yeah.
um it gets
Well,
kind of crazy at the
I
show.
was
But
I was sent on bed rest Friday night at Transworld because I was doing like 2 hour nights for like a week straight. So they were like, my team was
oh
like, "You're not going out with us tonight. You're going to bed." And I was like, "That probably makes sense. We should do that." So
man.
that's probably why I didn't see. That's probably why I didn't see it. I only went out like once.
So guys, we're gonna try to steer our questions toward haunt dolls and marketing stuff. Conjure Media does that. So anyway, Alex, kind of give us a little intro about yourself, how you got started in the industry, where you're at now.
Sure. Wow. It's been a minute since I've done the full overview, aside from
Yeah.
like Bumble dates asking, "How did you get into haunted house marketing?" I was like, "Oh, here we go." Um, um, yeah. So I pretty much fell into the haunt industry. I met Bill Schmidt, the owner of Schmidt's Farm, on Long Island. And at the time, I was not doing anything haunt related. I was just doing some local marketing stuff, and gave him my card. And a year later, he called me when I was actually in between things, and he's like, "Do you want to come talk marketing for our haunt?" And I was like, "Sure, let's do that." So went to a whole meeting, and I actually bought this girl Taylor with me, who was the spookiest girl I knew from camp. She used to bring like Ouija boards and stuff, and was totally into horror and everything. So I was like, she'd be a good resource to bring. And it turns out her fiance was Nick, who the last time we were on your show,
Yeah.
he was on. Um, so he does video stuff. So we kind of collaborated on the first year at Schmitz. They grew like 50%. So we did it again, and they grew 16%. So we were like, I went to Transworld at that point, and I saw there was a whole wide world of haunt and industry out there. I was like, damn, we should probably do this for more people. And that is how Conjured was born. So we started Conjured in 2019. Um, Nick left the company last year, so now I'm a solo dolo. Besides my dolls, which keep me company clearly. So that's that's always nice. But yeah, we've been helping haunts grow their businesses, sell more tickets, get more impressions, get more views, get more customers. For I guess what 7, 8 years now, 2017 to 2025. Yeah, 7 years
That's
now.
the same year that Scare Badges got started.
Nice. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was a big year for Hunts apparently. It seems like that was 2017. There's something in the air there.
Hmm.
Right.
See, pre-pandemic when everything was normal or semi-normal. Um,
Right.
so yeah, that's what we've been doing for a while. So we do all pretty much full stop shop for haunted attractions. So everything from the marketing, the media to marketing strategy. My time at Schmitz, I got to learn the actual haunt industry. I got to learn how a haunt operates, became the pseudo front of house manager. So yeah, that's kind of the Conjured side of things. Haunt dolls, as you see here, and I can show you. I bought some stuff. This is Ken from CFX. We got got those the imp masks here, and I got some more as well. Um, Haunt Dolls, we started this year. We debuted it at. I'm dropping him. We debuted Haunt Dolls at Trans Worlds. The idea behind that was each year when we create characters for our clients, I needed something to give them for holiday gifts. I really like to be like, hey, like we really appreciate your business. So we started getting these dolls. Like this is just dropping her. This is a witch character we made for Dead Man's Farm in Tennessee. So we basically completely helped them with the whole concept of coming up with this character. They had the initial idea we want a witch, so we were like, cool. We worked with Maya Maggots out in Chicago to kind of curate the whole design. So we basically created everything from the ground up for that character. So anywho, we got these awesome crochet dolls as holiday gifts, and every year people are like, these dolls are amazing. Like, how do you keep getting these dolls? So I was like, you know what? I wanted to do something else in addition to Conjured, like take kind of all of the marketing knowledge that we've acquired over the years and kind of get into more of the product realms of things. And that's kind of how Haunt Dolls was born. So the theory behind Haunt Dolls and kind of how it works is you can either get a custom doll, just like what you saw with our witch there. Or if you come to an event like Transworld or MHC will be at coming up, you can get our In the Flesh collection, which you can only get in the flesh, and those are limited edition items that are only available there. So those are kind of our two product lines. They're custom dolls, which is Necromancer because you're summoning your custom creature, and then our In the Flesh collection. So that is Haunt Dolls.
So does your team get worried that you're spending 100 hours crocheting dolls, or did you pass that off to somebody else?
So despite my many skills that I keep adding on each and every day, crocheting is unfortunately not one of them. So we do work with a doll maker who does make all those things because I would fall apart if I was also required to do that as well. Amongst the other thousands of things we're
Because
doing.
they're out, give us a nice good close look at one on the
Yeah,
screen again, because they are incredibly well put together, and the characterization that you have, that your
they're like
artist
their
is
little
doing,
nails and stuff.
like,
Yeah, the
it's
detail is
just
mind blowing.
So,
absolutely phenomenal.
so they have little accessories too, like the
Hmm.
chainsaws, and what they come like in little caskets, or is that their little
Yeah,
box of the
so
casket? And
yeah, so when you're thinking like the goal is to make it like a whole package. So this is like a really nice gift that you can, give to one of your actors, or if you have your own characters and you're like, hey, like we really want to commemorate all the hard work we put into this. They all come with a nice, really premium wood casket. You can laser engrave a full design on it. You can paint them, tons of stuff. Comes with a stand, certificate of authenticity, a sticker pack. Um, got the accessories like chainsaws and stuff like that, and we have a bunch of different packages that you can choose from. Um, right now we're kind of doing them as drops as opposed to like you can just go online and buy them just for production. It's a lot easier as we kind of work out
Hmm.
the kinks in our first year and whatnot. So we're opening up an order window after Midwest as well. Um, um, but yeah, as far as the detail is out of this world. Like that is really the goal. The goal is to make these really awesome collectible pieces that you can just have on display. And when people come over or people come to your haunt, some of our um, some of our clients we've got the dolls for, like every year they're like, we got to put these in our ticket booth or in the merch booth. Like they're trying to figure out ways to display them to show off the characters. So yeah, that's kind of what we got going on.
that's what I was thinking. Merch booth, or like having uh awards to your
Hmm.
top three actors. They get a doll in their resemblance or something, or your characters, or what are most people buying them for right now?
So right now it's because we just started. So Transworld was when we just released it.
That was your
Um,
Hmm.
introductory, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So right now it's just been kind of like individual purchases. We've got a lot of interest to do like retail. So a lot of like the bigger haunts want to have them like in their stores. Um, that's something that'll be kind of like the 2.0 version, just because I do not want to start off with like taking retail orders on these like very niche custom products, like the coffin, for example. Um, those like these are just prototypes. We work with a guy in Aurora, Illinois, like a really fine furniture maker worked with two other people. Like apparently making a coffin is the hardest thing in the world, which I was unaware of, and see skills that I had to learn.
Yeah,
Coffin
it looks
making.
so easy. It's
I
only 6 sides.
I was like, you buy a miter saw. How hard could it be? Apparently, it's like crazy hard. Um, so so yeah, okay, yep. This is our Transworld booth.
Yeah, I just wanted to pull up a few different pictures from your Facebook page.
Yeah, no worries.
So that's from CFX. What's the deal with the CFX?
Yeah, so
Uh,
CFX, they had their 18th birthday, and I've known those guys for a while. They're just really awesome people. And when I saw they announced their 18th birthday, it's like, well, I have these dolls I've been doing, so I got him a doll of Ken with the two masks, and kind of so all these dolls here, these are mine because we first started just giving them to people, and then I realized these are so cool. I really don't want to not have one for myself to commemorate all the hard work we put into everything. So yeah, so I got it for Ken. He absolutely loved it. And then when we were getting everything ready for the Transworld booth and needed the prototypes, we used CFX as kind of the prototype for their uh, full-on coffin right there. And again, the detail is really amazing. Like if you look at the imp mask or this guy Belial, I believe his name is. Like yeah, if you zoom in on there, it's just the fact that it's so close to resembling the actual masks is really wild.
and that's the is that the witch
And that's the witch.
right
Yep.
there? Okay.
Hmm. And that's the thing. We have different packages, so you can have removable masks, or you can have like that guy. That's Grandpa, one of the characters from Dead Man's Farm. He's on the coffin on our left side. So, uh, and kind of like the coffin design was to kind of pull together. These are like 2 years of all the media that we made. So the videos, the graphic design, the photography, trying to tie it in into one kind of commemorative piece. in this coffin here. So it's not just like, hey, here's some cool art. It's like this is actually 2 years worth of everything that we've did for Dead Man's Farm, right? So a really nice uh, memorial for kind of all the hard work we put in.
This podcast episode sponsored by Scarlet Badges.
We always were looking for ideas to get those actors to take it to the next level. I really want to do something that they can use more than just a meal, or they can use more than just a that a boy, that a girl. They love this stuff, but it's not really promoting a haunter. And then I sit down, Scarlet Badges comes out. That's when I realized this is amazing, because not only is it giving them an attaboy, but it's also promoting them all year round. And to promote somebody, to give somebody accolades all year round and have them be able to wear it on their shoulder with pride means a lot. This right here says this is who nailed it on this day in this year for the rest of their life, for the rest of their haunting life. And that's what I really love about this product, is you're able to give haunting to somebody an attaboy 365 days a year. And that's, so hats off to you guys. I think this is a great product, and I wish you the best of luck because it's awesome.
Get your Scare Badges at scarebadges.com.
So how did you come up with this idea?
Yeah, it was, for me, it actually started with watches. Because I've got into watches. I do not have watch money because I do haunted house marketing, you know. Um, so I was like, what? Well, I don't have massive collectible doll money either. But one of the things I really liked about watches specifically, and what was interesting to me, was that a lot of the companies I was following who were doing these really cool creative art pieces, they were collaborating with artists to kind of make unique watches. And then they were all limited edition. So you kind of had to, especially when they're all European, like, I'm waking up like 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning to like see if I can get a spot in their virtual queue to, buy these watches or whatever. So I really liked that concept, and I wanted to do something similar, but I did not want to make a watch company because that is insane. Um, so I figured combining that kind of really cool limited edition desirability, collaborating with artists with the stuff that we already have, and plus the haunt industry and the horror element. So, for example, the event we're doing at MHC, that's kind of our first true collaboration with an artist, this guy, KDA Illustrator out of Kentucky. Really amazing artist, really cool art style, who basically designed all the art for some of the promo items and for a lot of the things like the stickers and stuff that we have that we're going to give out at the show. Um, so it's kind of like that is the goal moving forward, is to be able to have different artists collaborate. And then moving forward, we can take, let's say, an artist has a character, there's some creator that has a specific character. We can also do like a limited edition run of those dolls and make a custom coffin and all those things. So it's kind of like keeping the art project element of it evolving over time, collaborating with different artists. So for me, it was really cool to have that creative outlet in addition to the marketing side. It's creative and fun, and I like it, but that is work, and we're here. I have to help you grow your business, and that is my job. Having fun is secondary to that. This is where I can have a little bit more fun. So I like kind of the duality, but still both are pretty creative.
Yeah, it's completely two different things. You're using maybe like one side of your brain and the other side of your brain. You're like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, that's the thing, is I've always been drawn to the creative and the business. Like I like the combination of them. I never wanted to take my skills and like go to like Johnson and Johnson and sell like shampoo or something like that. Like that was just never really interesting to me. But at the same time, I never wanted to be like a straight up like starving artist. So I like the ability to take business skills and number and data and allow you to produce and sell something creative. So Conjured, obviously, it's all creative driven, but numbers driven. And then the dolls are the same way. But the dolls, I just have a little bit more flexibility where, you know, it's because it's mine. I just don't have to worry about, if I spend money and it doesn't work, yeah, it's just my money. If you spend
Yeah.
money, it doesn't work, that's a huge problem. We can't have that.
Mhm.
So there you go. That's that's how I think about this kind of stuff.
So for Contra Media, there's probably some people out there that are wondering, how to get more people to their haunted house,
Sure.
things to do. Give us a few examples of things that they can do to get more people, get more customers.
Sure. So I'm gonna kind of frame it in two different ways, and I guess I'll ask you if how you want me to do it. But there is the kind of guerrilla, we don't have any money side, and then there's the people who are like, how do we curate a marketing strategy and we have X budget to work with? Which one do you want me to get into? You want to talk about both or?
Let's do the guerrilla marketing first.
Okay.
Yeah.
So So the guerrilla side of things, um, the reality of marketing, advertising, how to get your business out there in today's world is if you don't have money, it is really difficult to do that because Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, like all these platforms really require money to get distribution, views. Like they're designed to do that, right? Um, so you do have some options, some things to do. First and foremost, you can basically, so the way I've always said it is you either have time or you have money. If you don't have any time, you're kind of SOL at that point. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but if you have the time, what I would do is you look for, first and foremost, is the thing that we started doing last year, but a lot of influencer marketing, right? So some influencers you have to pay them, some you don't, but you look for influencers not that are just specifically haunted house related. Excuse me. You want people who are in your area and have a following of people in your area because that's the most important part. Because most people are not flying out to haunted houses unless you're one of the crazy people on this show specifically listening to it, or you're working in a haunt, or you're Hell's Gate, or Dark Hour or something. Like people will fly out to Netherworld, things like that, but most people are not going to travel for your haunt, right? So reaching out to local influencers, doing a media night, give them some free merch or something like that. Hey, come on down, post about us. Do that early in the season. That's a really good way to do it. Or in the summer, as you're building, invite some influencers down, make some content. Like that would hopefully be some free way to go about it. The other thing you can do, which for full disclosure, I think I've been talking about this for like as long as I've been doing this, and I don't think a single person has ever done it. But all you do is you go online, you find a list of every sports team, every church, every Boy Scout group, every organization that contains groups of people, schools, PTAs, whatever it is, and you make a spreadsheet of all those things and you call every single one of them. You can send email, but you have to do what's called email warming so your email doesn't go to spam, which we can talk about later if you want. Um, but you reach out to every single one of those people and you sell group tickets because you either have
Mm.
time or you have money. So it's just math. If you can close 3% of those people and you reached out to 3,000 of these groups, well, there you go, right? That's people, that's tickets, that's money that you never ever would have had. And now that they've come, hopefully they had a really good time. Cool, come back next year, come to our off-season event, whatever it is, right? Now they're in your system, now they're your customers, right? So that is the guerrilla side of things. Do you have any questions, comments about that? And before I move on to the
No,
other
that's
stuff?
good. Yeah, I like that. I never thought about that idea actually, but
Yeah,
that's a good idea.
yeah. So we did actually start doing some of that last year. We just did it a little too late in the season because it's a lot of infrastructure to build up from like on my end of things, right? Like finding all that stuff as opposed to you just live in your community and you already know probably some of these people or have all that. Um, so we've gotten like mild success with it, but again, no one has tried actually just like calling 1,000 groups of people, but you should do it because why wouldn't it work? It worked for
Right.
like everyone else. So that's the guerrilla side. For the advertising side of things, again, you got to have money. Um, but what we find is most successful, Facebook, Google, still king. Since we started in 2017, I've been told Facebook is dead. Uh, and like the zombies that we all are, Facebook is still chugging along. So
There's the people with the money, right?
they're the people with the money.
They're the older
Mm-hmm.
generation, the parents, the grandparents,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's really weird. They say statistically the kids have left and all went elsewhere. Every year we run Facebook ads, and every year they perform really well. So
That's what I
someone
focused
someone is
on.
someone is buying the tickets somewhere. So I don't know if there's these like
Yeah.
gremlins that live on Facebook and they're not kids, but they exist and they're buying them. So Facebook still number one. And then Google as well, because again, Google people are searching, for haunted houses. It's searching with intent. They're looking for that experience specifically. Um, PMax did really, really well. So that's Google Performance Max. Um, so all the companies, when they come out with like algorithmically driven portions of their platform for ads, when they first launch them, they try to like push them a little more, to like, look how awesome our new AI product is. So Performance Max worked really well for us last year on Google. So Google Search, Performance Max, Facebook. Instagram, we found is more of like an awareness platform, which I think makes sense in how you use Instagram. TikTok, same deal. TikTok, you can't track it with pixels, as far as my knowledge, at least like a year or two ago. I don't know if that's changed since, just because none of the ticking platform interacted with them. Um, but yeah, those are like the biggest ways. So spending money on advertising, the more money you spend, the more you make back. It's really as simple as there's no like hack. There's no how do I spend $1 and make $1 million. Like that's just not how any of this works. It's literally what you're doing is you're putting money into a $1 billion piece of software that is literally designed to find the people who want to buy your thing. And if you have enough money and time to do that, it works. If you know what you're doing, you don't do that part, it can't get the data, and then you won't get results.
Right.
So that's kind of like the numbers side of thing. And then on all those platforms, creative is hugely important. So when it comes to haunted houses specifically, one of the things that we've done over the years is more narrative driven stuff. So the characters like the witch that we talked about, and making these kind of they're ads, not movies, huge important distinction, but using creative, using character, using stories that people see these things in their feed and they go, what the hell is this? Like, oh, it's a haunted house. I can actually come and experience this. I can interact, and then they come and they meet these characters, and you'll see like they leave reviews like, "Oh my god, I finally met the," like it's crazy. Like people are actually interacting with these characters and excited. Or on the I've had midnight texts with owners being like, "Hey, this person like left a comment on the ad like we didn't see the butcher. Like what's up with that? Like why wasn't he here?" And then he's like, "I don't know, maybe he was on his break. Like he was there the whole time." Like so it's like the passion that we are able to elicit by doing that kind of thing. We've also done more of that kind of standard haunted house video with like, for example, people that have like bigger properties who like really want to show all the different elements what they have to offer. Um, so it's the narrative side. It is that kind of standard, hey, this is what we have to offer, and then it's a number side. So that is marketing for haunted house in the most top level introductory statement.
Do you know what causes haunted attractions to shut down before they even get started? The top 3 roadblocks are lack of funding, lack of leadership, lack of resources. As a member of the Haunters Toolbox, you get instant access to the tools you need to start and grow your own haunted attraction business. To get started, become a member at haunterstoolbox.com.
You miss those days of social media when everything was free to play. I mean, where
Yeah,
your organic posts, you get 5 or 6,000
yeah,
interactions with a. Now it's all. I mean, how
yeah. Those were the days.
what percentage of, if you have a Facebook page, what
Sure.
percentage of your audience do you think actually reaches your audience without paying for it?
Oof.
It's like 5%.
Way
It's
less than that.
less than that.
Probably like 1%, I guess.
1%. It doesn't seem like it's a whole lot.
No.
I know there's a trick, and does Facebook award you like if the more you interact with it daily, and the more posts you put in? I think Instagram's the same way. I think it's always kind of been that way, the algorithm, how that works. But
I think it depends. I've seen people argue everything from, like this one guy, I think his name's Dennis Yu, dollar a day strategy, really cool stuff if you want to look up him. I've
got
seen,
a podcast.
yeah, he has a podcast. I think
Yeah.
he did like marketing for the Warriors or something like back in the day. Um, but he had like a whole thing about how like, the time you post and like how often you post is like total BS. And then I've seen people say the exact opposite. Obviously like no
Mhm.
one knows unless you like literally are coding at these companies, I guess, or have access to their source code.
And it also changes from week to week potentially
Correct.
because
Yeah.
they know what's going on behind the scenes.
Yes.
Now, you're posting all of this stuff on your social media, your TikTok, your Instagram, your Facebook.
Hmm.
Um, when people click on those and interact with them, where should they go? Back to the website that you created in 2017, or should they do something else?
Um, as far as like for what specifically, for getting them to come to your like to
As
buy a
they're
ticket?
interacting, let's say I see your post on TikTok,
Okay.
but now I'm intrigued.
Sure.
Where do I go and how do I advertise that in TikTok so that I
Sure.
get them to buy the tickets that in the end, what I really want them to do?
Gotcha. Um, so the way I think about this, and actually when I was on that marketing panel 2 years ago at Transworld, I think we talked a little bit about this. So it's important to understand the different platforms you're on and what the goal of the content that you're posting is. So TikTok, for example, right? Um, if you were just, let's say it's like the summer or whatever, and you're just making, let's say you're posting about the build or you have some shenanigans going on, whatever it is, right? Or you're making a dance, whatever it is. The goal of that content is simply just to interact with your audience. Like you're just building a following. You're just getting people to see your stuff, to be like, oh, these guys exist. That's interesting. Let me follow them. Let me stay up to date with them. Right? It's purely about you don't want to ask them about to do anything. So like when I say ask, it's like the goal of all of this is to build a relationship with your customers, your guests, and then you want to then ask them, hey, we have this relationship. Buy a ticket, i.e., come down. Right? So they're both separate things.
Mm-hmm.
So when it comes to that organic side of things, you just want to like, depending on what you're doing, of course, you want to entertain them and like do not ask them to buy a ticket. Don't check out our website for more. Like if every post, and everyone knows this, like when you're scrolling on your feed and there's always that one person, we all know them. Everyone knows, like, you can think of 5 people right now in your head. Oh, there's that person
Mm-hmm.
who every single time I've ever seen them post on social media about anything, it's buy tickets, come here, like, check out the website. Like you don't want to do that kind of thing because it just annoys people in today's day and age. So that's the like organic side of things. When it comes to actual advertising, yeah, you want to run an ad that will get them to. I prefer sending to the website over just straight to ticketing because I just think it's just better. More steps are usually worse, but I think of it in terms of like your
And
website as
catch
a
that.
hub for people.
Is the deal to capture the email address? Is that
Um, in what step of this, or just generally, or
just like if you bring them to your website, do you want them to opt in for something,
oh,
or do you want them to buy? Well, I guess if you're buying ticket, so, I know you can.
gotcha.
I know you can set it up where they buy a ticket, enter their email, and
Mm-hmm.
then their email goes into your email platform or
Correct.
whatever.
Yeah, so
So
when it comes to selling a ticket, um, my goal is to be as linear as possible. As in, like, you want a ticket, just buy the ticket. I don't want to distract you with 7,000 other things. Like, it's like they're ready to buy. Like, go buy. Like,
yeah,
don't worry about all the noise, right? Um, so that's the goal. So you go from your ad, website, ticketing software, and they check out. And then for the people who made it to your website or made it to your ticketing software who did not buy, you then do what's called retargeting, and you send them a separate ad, and that's called a marketing funnel. So you have your first level of the funnel, which is super wide. Think of a funnel, wide to narrow. So the super wide, these are like the broad people who may or may not know anything about you, but they're not really connected to you in any way, right? They're going to see your ad. Maybe they're interested, maybe they're not, but you send them another ad, and once you're, 3 ads in, that's a really targeted group of people. Like they keep interacting with your stuff, they're going to your website. Those people are much more likely to buy. So you kind of curate that funnel to those people. And that's why it's so important when you're setting everything up to make sure you have, your Facebook pixel, your Google Analytics, like all the different pixels and everything tracking. That is apparently, you think coffin making is hard. Like apparently setting everything up. I've had been fortunate enough to have like an analytics guy I've worked with since we started. Even when I started with Schmitz, I've tried some other people along the way who like totally messed this up because the internet, like 99% of the times, is word. It's made to work with, like, let's say you have like a Shopify store or like a WooCommerce store. It's literally made for people buying e-commerce. Like that is it.
Mm-hmm.
There's like literally 4 people in this world of billions who are like, let's use a third party platform like a HauntPay or something to buy tickets, right? So 90% of people have no idea how to like even set that up. But if you don't set that up, you don't get any of this data and you can't do anything that I'm talking about as effectively. So when it comes to emails, for example, yeah, so like I'll collect the email after they purchase or have like an email form on their site. I don't typically run lead gen ads just because I think that's much like when you have a higher budget for haunts to run, then it makes a lot of sense to do a lot of lead gen along the way, like especially off season stuff. Um, but typically they're much more focused on like this is the limited budget we have, this is the time frame we have, let's sell tickets. So that's kind of our focus in that regard.
had an email. Craig was asking, how not to get flagged your emails, how not to get your emails to go in the spam box,
Sure.
basically. So what can we do to avoid that?
Is that Craig Watt?
Yes, it is.
Hey, what's up, Craig? Awesome guy. Uh, really enjoy talking to him every time I see him. Um, and I didn't buy him a beer because I was, sent to bed. So I think I still owe
Uh-huh.
the guy a beer. Um, um, so all right, the first thing you do is it's called email warming, which we talked about. So email warming is kind of this like uh black hatty kind of thing. Like it's technically like you're not supposed to do it, but it's fine if you do it right. So basically what that does is you're connecting your email to a software that will send your email to other emails connected to the software. So basically makes the email say you're an email who talks to a lot of people all the time and sends things back and forth. Really disconcerting when all your emails are connected and you start seeing these like random messages and you're like, what is this? And then you realize, oh, it's like the software. Really freaks you out. But anywho, what it does is it makes your reputation score. Like there are these like algorithmic things that like Google or other people have that basically says, hey, you're not a spammer. You're just a person who sends a lot of email, right? So especially the haunted houses, it depends how you're doing your emails. So if you're just taking, so there's like different levels of, I guess, authority or whatever word you want to use of like type of email address. So if it's someone who bought a ticket and their email ends up in your email system, which is totally fine, that's legitimate. They're a paying guest, right? That's totally cool. But that person is not as interested in getting an email from you as someone who like double opted in and signed into your email form and like went through 1,000 steps and says, I want access to your list, right? Those are the most high authority people. So the way you get better open rates and you get, less in spam, first and foremost, are doing email warming. So that's like first step. Also, like when I talked about if you're going to email 1,000 organizations, like you have to do email warming. You can't just like send it all from your email. Like that's why I think calling is better in that regard, just because no one is. I don't think that your phone number can be. Well, if you text people, I guess it could be spam, but calling. Anywho, so that's like first step, email warming. Second step is you have to be really careful with how you're wording your email. So typically the emails that I'm sending out, like during the season, like we'll have like a coupon or something so we can track how they're performing. But you don't want to have anything like promo related and like the subject line or like very little text. Like I'll have like an image of like, the promotion and maybe like, a couple lines, but you don't want it to be all promo driven because then you're going to flag it's either spam or it's going to go to their promo folder, which you don't want obviously because I think for
You mean you're
us,
supposed to look at things in your promotion folder? Huh.
exactly. Like I think very tech literate people use the internet very differently than like the average person too. And that's another thing. Like as a side note, I was actually having a conversation with Nick, my former business partner, the other day, because I'm helping him out with one of his other businesses, and we were just kind of talking about how like we were thinking of the flow of how people are going through things and how they're like interacting with things, and it's like I had to explain to him. I was like, this is such a macro concept of like whatever you think the average person would or shouldn't do, like it doesn't matter. Like there are people who are going to do the most random weird things and like you just can't really like fathom how it's all going to work. It's just going to do, right? So
Yeah.
so yeah, again, like email, like I don't know, like should you check your promo folder? Maybe, but like maybe the average person doesn't check their promo folder, right? So there's all these weird
Mhm.
behavioral things you kind of have to get. So that's like, yeah, that's the email side of things. Of course, also frequency. You don't want to send a bazillion emails. For the season, I'll usually do one a week is kind of what I'm flowing out. And again, it's been like relevant to like that week. If you have like a special event coming up, if someone already bought a ticket, I'll send them a retargeting email like, hey, we want to have you back with a different promotion, but like I'll only send one of those. I'm not going to send, every week, hey, come back, come back, come back. And I'll only do that for like the special events, which is why also for special events, I try to have my clients like spread them out as opposed to like jam pack that, you know what I mean? So that way you just have another opportunity for people to come back. So things like that. The goal is to balance, like despite everything I just said about your own behavior, but think of like, if you're the guy who's getting 1,000 emails, you're going to be not happy about those people emailing you, right?
Yeah, I'm usually unsubscribing.
Exactly.
Yep.
So it's just that kind of finding that happy balance. So
Yeah.
text is even worse. Text, like, we used to do a lot of text. I don't really do it so much anymore just because the whole process of opting is a massive pain in the ass. But for text, it's even like, I would do like one or two a season at most just because text is even worse. Like email is made to like sit there. If someone's texting you every week, you're going to unsubscribe. Like no one wants that.
Mhm. Opt out.
Hmm
Click no to
Yep.
opt out.
Exactly.
Okay. Click
Exactly.
no. Quit sending these damn things.
I think Scarlet badges are one of the smartest things I've seen in the industry in a really long time. Scarlet badges are basically either pins or embroidered patches, kind of like merit badges, as they are, somewhat named after, from Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts and Brownies, and where after you've accomplished something, you can wear the brag tag of the embroidered patch. Some haunts put them on jackets, some put them on t-shirts, some put them on, with the pins, I've seen them put them on lanyards. But the neat thing about them is they are very specific in what they are rewarding. And they're haunt-based images that reflect what's being rewarded. It's retention, it is bringing people back, and it's actually giving your haunters, your haunt performers, the ability to share that they are haunt performers. And, oh really, you're a scare actor. Where do you do that? And then they will insert the name of your haunt right there. So it's also marketing. I've always been a big fan of Scarlet badges. I think they're great. So check them out, scarletbadges.com. No, that is not a paid advertisement. That is just my recommendation. I think it's really cool.
ScottSwinson.com.
Yeah. Yeah. So, our listeners vary. A lot
Sure.
of them are, home haunters. A lot of them are first 5-year haunt owners.
Sure.
Your guerrilla marketing tips were good. We've had the influencer mentioned several times about using influencer marketing and try to get local people to your haunt, have media nights, press
Mhm.
releases. Those are all good things to do. Um, the what do you I like the old traditional media now?
Mhm.
Billboards, newspapers, radio. Is that stuff still relevant? What do you think?
So my philosophy on like how to go about marketing any business, but a haunted house, like I think has been pretty consistent since the beginning of this. So it's not that these things do or don't work. It's about how much money do you want to spend to see if they do.
Kind of be everywhere, test
Yeah.
everything, just
So
kind
this
of.
is yeah, so like this is called like a marketing mix, right? So traditionally, yes, like Coca-Cola, right? Coca-Cola, everyone on Earth knows, you can go to like sub-Saharan Africa and be like Coca-Cola and like they'll know what you're talking about, right? Because like everyone knows. Like why?
The brand.
Because
Yeah.
the brand and they've done every form of marketing ever in existence for 100 years, right?
Hmm.
And it works
Mhm.
because that's why these people in sub-Saharan Africa know what they are, right? Um, but the problem with that is they have Coca-Cola money and you don't, right? So the question of does a billboard work? The conversation I have is like this: is like, so, all right, cool. You have a billboard. Let's say, I'm in Chicago now, so I see like 13th floor billboards and stuff like that all the time. Cool. Like you're driving by. All right. Well, how many people drive by on that highway? Like what, obviously the billboard people have numbers on that. Cool. Like whatever that number is. All right. Out of that percentage of people, how many of those people are at all remotely interested in attending a haunted house, right? So haunted house people are still normal people because the best part about haunted houses is they're in the fall and everyone wants to do some fun fall activity with their friends and the caveat maybe a spooky fall activity, right? So this whole industry exists purely because regular people want that fun fall experience. If it was just the spooky horror haunt people, no haunt would exist because there'd be like three of them, and everyone that works at a haunt would like just work at that haunt, right?
Mhm.
Um, so when you do the math, all right, so whatever that number is of the people driving by who are at all interested in your haunt, right? There's that number. Or you can take, let's say for conversation that billboard is $5,000 for the season, whatever it is. Or I can take $5,000 on Facebook. I can target only the people who I know will be interested in haunted houses. And if I can reach whatever the multiple is times more people than that billboard for the same price, well then you only have $5,000 to spend. Where would you put that money, right? So
Hmm.
that's how I look at it. It's simple as that. Um, so the way I break it down is what I like to do is because we talked about the algorithm and having to capitalize things so that it can say this is a haunted house customer, send to more people like this, right? And because you need enough money and time, and like I mentioned, like these platforms are not set up to have a like 6 week period. Like it's not designed for that. It's designed for you run like an e-commerce business or a normal business that's
Mhm.
not closed 90% of the year and
Hmm.
it takes time to develop or money to develop. So we're basically hacking the system to say this 6 weeks, find these people, right? So you need the money to do that. So instead of spreading that $5,000, putting 1,000 here, 1,000, and it's not going to capitalize anything and nothing's going to work, I usually would rather take that chunk of money and put it into one platform and make sure that's adequately capitalized. If we have more money, then more. So once you get into really big budgets for like giant haunts, then buying the billboard makes sense because you're not competing with another like I instead of taking that money and putting it into Facebook, we already have money in Facebook that's doing the thing, right? So now we can reach those people on the highway that we know are on the highway, and that's totally fine. So that's kind of like my philosophy on a marketing. It's not that it works or doesn't work. It's just where does it actually make sense to put money? Um, People like disagree with that, obviously, but like I have not personally heard an argument that anyone has made that I think disproves my argument. I don't know if
Yeah.
you've heard anything different that like makes more sense
Well,
than
that's
that.
kind of what we did because we didn't have a big budget either. So we basically focused on Facebook and Instagram.
Sure.
I mean, that's basically
Mhm.
where we did do radio ads. We did have
Sure.
radio come out. No way to track it.
Hmm.
We tried to ask them where they came from, and some, we heard you on the radio,
Yep.
but we dropped the radio ads and didn't see any kind of decrease in attendance. Increased our Facebook ad spend a little better, more that year. Um, Never used billboards, so it was. But I understand a bigger budget. You probably want to be on a two billboards on each side of town and,
Right.
$10,000 worth of Facebook ads and, you
Yeah.
know,
Well,
front page of your newspaper, getting a PR,
like
story, just
the
kind of
first
flooding the whole
the first
area.
year I ever went to Transworld, well, not went like vended, which was the year after the pandemic, because we were supposed to vend and then it was canceled because of the pandemic. So the next year, um, a guy came up to the booth. We had one of the videos that we shot in the cornfield. This was a super weird dude because he takes out his phone and puts it on my face and goes, "My son made a video just like this," and it was like like some kid on his cell phone. I was like, that's really weird to like come up to me and tell me that. And he was like, we don't do marketing. And I was like, also super weird that you're telling me this. Like, I'm the market. Like, why would you do this? But whatever. And then he's like, we have like a magazine in our town that everyone reads, and that's the only thing we need to be in. And I was like, okay, then like why are
That's
like
working.
I,
Yeah.
I was like, all right, like why are I don't understand the need to have this conversation, um, but that guy, oddly enough, he represents something really important. Which, to your question, the billboard, the magazine, carrier pigeon throwing out flyers, it doesn't matter. Like literally, all marketing is just how to distribute the thing that you want to sell to people who want to buy it, right? So if everyone in wherever you live reads the magazine and you put an ad in, or they say their numbers, and you sold X number of tickets from that magazine because you tracked it in some way, like you put a promo code on whatever, and wow, we got 500 of these coupons back, right? Well, then it works, and okay,
Right.
cool, like that's it. So it's literally as simple as that. It's I have money to spend. Where do I want to spend my money? Can I track where I'm spending the money? Yes or no? How efficiently can I track that? Right? And that's how you make your decisions. It's not like, yeah, the radio guy was cool. Let's give him some money and see what happens. Like you can do that, and I think that's how like a lot of people approach it, right?
Mhm.
Or like this FOMO thing of like, oh no, like we're not on the radio. Like what's gonna happen? It's like no, it's super simple. Just that formula. And there you go. That's your answer. But like, yeah, that's kind of
Yep.
how I think about it.
Time or money. That's what it's.
Time or money.
Shane Helmstetter was asking about local sponsorships. What do you think
Okay.
about those?
For you to sponsor or for them to sponsor you?
Probably like probably them
Let's discuss both
sponsoring.
ways.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe like a little
Both ways. Why not
sponsorship of
both?
trade. Yeah.
Like the great meme with the taco girl.
Mm-hmm.
That's a huge caveat. Like, it's so interesting to me that we have these like commercials that everyone has seen, and we can like all have these like cultural moments. Like maybe Jared, you don't know the commercial I'm talking about because you're Canadian. I don't know. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Which commercial is that?
Why not both? Where it's like a taco. I don't even know the company, but like the taco company, and they sell like hard shell.
Doesn't ring a bell.
They sell hard shell and soft shell. Do you know what I'm talking about, Brian? And the
Is
girl
it
goes,
Ortega? Is it a?
maybe. She goes, why not both? And they like throw her up in the air and cheer. No.
I listen to them because my wife, if you're watching digital and then you have the same commercials that pop up,
Sure.
they're always like the 10 commercials and they replay them like 100 times. So
Yeah.
yeah, I've heard that, but I don't
Yeah.
know.
If you go on
Yeah.
like when you send gifts to people, if you just put like why not both, you'll see the girl go like. But anyway, that was like
Okay.
I don't know, that was
Okay. Gotcha.
20
All
years
right.
ago, that commercial.
All right.
Um,
You're
but I just
dating
find
me
it
now.
I just find it interesting how like we have these like things that like we've all seen. But anyway, sorry, the question of sponsorships, right?
Have you checked out HuntersToolbox.com yet? It's free to join and full of useful information to help you start and grow your own haunted attraction business. All the information on HuntersToolbox.com is created by the pros who do it. We have a library with ebooks and presentations on topics like creating an employee handbook, starting a business plan, or the best types of lights to use at your haunt, plus a lot more. You get instant access to the library plus free video masterclasses by the experts in the haunt industry. Classes like Alan Hops from Dark Hour Haunted House teaching scare acting, or Philip Hernandez from the Haunted Attraction Network teaching marketing and social media, or Leonard Pickle from Hauntpreneurs teaching haunt design and construction. I even got a few master classes in there as well. You don't have to do it alone. Let us help you. We also host monthly live masterclasses to steer you in the right direction so you don't get lost. Once you become a member, you also get instant updates on our next masterclass in your email so you don't miss the next one. And if you need more one-on-one help, there is an option for that as well. I would be honored to help you get your attraction started or help you grow your current one. I know what it takes. Let's talk. If you're interested, you want to start and grow your haunted attraction, go check out HuntersToolbox.com. Don't be scared.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it like again, like everything, it depends. So for example, like let's say you have like your town, or not your town, but like your something bigger than a town, county. Let's say there's like a giant like soccer club or something like that, right? Where there's like a bazillion teams and like thousands of kids and all that, and they have like a sponsorship program, and they'll like send an email, like whatever's included in that. Um, Something like that like might make sense, right? Because you're reaching an audience that you're interested in, or like I see people, they have parade floats and stuff like that, right? Um, it's again, it's just
Yeah.
it's all about
He was thinking like local shops that you promote them and they promote you.
Oh, okay.
We've done it with a local bar and restaurant.
Sure.
They provided food and stuff for our actors every weekend.
Sure.
We gave them free tickets, hung up
Hmm.
their banner on our queue line. They actually hung up our banner in their restaurant. So it was kind of a,
Sure.
win-win type of thing. That's why I always kind of go into sponsorship is usually ends up
Sure.
somebody that I know that has a business that we like talk about it. And Lumberyard sponsored us the first year, which was great because we needed a bunch of lumber. So
Sure.
they sponsored us, because I kind of knew the guy that ran it. So like, hey, you want to work out something? He's like, yeah, I think we can do something. So,
Yeah.
that was good. Um,
Well,
I think
that's
stuff like that.
yeah. So that's the receiving side of sponsorships, like having or the mutual side. I consider that more like the receiving. For like the giving side, it's like if your goal is I want to get exposure, so I'm going to put my money into sponsoring things. It's just simply that again, the math is the same in the sense of like what is the value of that, or it's less about selling tickets and more about your brand recognition and like hey like or if you're just giving back to the community and that's a part of like that's what you value for you and your business, right? Again, like sponsoring something, that's totally fine. If it's like purely dollars and cents of like I could buy a Facebook ad or I could buy this sponsorship, well, if you don't have a lot of money to spend, it's a weird calculus to me. As far as the receiving side of things, that's totally fine. Like, yeah, it's super smart. The lumberyard, amazing idea, right? Because everyone needs lumber. When I used to work at Schmidt's, and I would answer the emails, or when they'd get like a bazillion calls every night, and the guy in the office would always call me and like answer these random obscure questions. Um, but like a lot of people would be like, "Hey, we're going pumpkin picking in the day at Schmidt's because they were open and they would close like between like 5 and 7 when they would open the haunt." And they're like, "What are the restaurants in the area?" Right? It's like the amount of interest that we had for like restaurants in the area, like that's totally fine. So going to them and being like, we didn't have any agreement with them. I was just like, yeah, there's like a pizza place here, here, here. There's like a diner. Like here you go. Like that's definitely useful for both parties, right? Um, in terms of like, is that monetarily going to help you in the sense of like oh, people leaving flyers at a pizza place or something like that, right? Like, again, how many people are walking into your pizza place with that flyer, looking at it? Um, maybe you have the one pizza place in the world that like 1,000 people came in and they all want haunted houses and they all came back with a flyer and used the coupon. And you're like, oh my god, I'm blown away by this, this usage of this coupon. Um, but it's just like it's not like you shouldn't do it. It's simply just a question of time, money, energy, effort, all those things. So
I just thought of a couple of interesting ideas, though. Like one of them is our baseball team here in the city.
hmm
They were looking for volunteers to work the games, right?
sure,
To just do stuff, work the booths, some of the booths and stuff. And our haunt uh, took them up on the offer
sure,
and dressed up in costumes and very light on the blood and the scary,
hmm
but at the same point got our faces out in front of a crowd. Um,
for sure,
and those are potentially your customers that are going to watch a baseball game. But if also you just mentioned you're talking about putting your flyer in a pizza shop. Um, Now, if you got a mom and pop pizza joint in your town, like this isn't going to work with, your Pizza Hut or your Shakey's or something,
of
but
course, yeah,
maybe for the month of October, uh, you can have them create a special pizza for, you know, uh, the masked killer pizza, which has got,
sure,
the Jason Voorhees and pepperoni, with uh, some sort of mortadella, knife or something like that.
sure,
Um, just which then they can use that idea for every other month
hmm
and they can do some other charity. But even if you're not making a lot of money, it's getting that awareness, especially during, late summer
hmm
and early fall. Um,
but
and it doesn't hurt to ask. You're going to get a lot of no's,
But the
but
important part that's really important with all that. So like I really like these really cool creative ideas. Like for example, like the pizza, right? Like I thought of even just at a haunt, like, if you're selling food, right? Like why would you sell a hamburger when you could sell the zombie burger? Like whatever. Like you should theme everything, make
Mhm.
everything creative and cool and interactive and like part of the experience. It makes a lot of sense. So the pizza thing is an amazing idea, right? But what you're relying on is you're relying on somebody will take that idea and distribute it. So you're either going to go viral in some capacity, some local news will pick it up and that will
Mm-hmm.
go viral. So you're doing it obviously not so much altruistically in the sense of you want to like help mom and pop pizza, which if you do, that's totally fine, right? But like you're hoping this creative thing will generate interest in your attraction and then be distributed, right? So the thing that you need is distribution. So like, for example, if we're talking that example, right? If you're making, okay, cool, we're going to collaborate with the pizza place. They're going to make October is going to be Jason month or whatever, right? And in
Mm-hmm.
collaboration with our haunted house. Cool. Well, if you invite 50 local food influencers who are the most insufferable people on earth, by the way, having worked with them before. Fun fact. So be prepared. If you invite all of them down and you invite the local news and you make it a whole event, right? So it's parallel. Well, you've solved both problems. Now you have distribution. Now you have a cool thing that people will actually be interested. Like if you invite someone out to,
Mm-hmm.
hey, come to this cool release of the free Jason pizza, you pay them $500 to get out free pizza, whatever it is, right? Now you've made a whole thing that's going to be distributed as opposed to just relying on the people walking in the pizza place. So it's
Good
like,
call.
so I think it's important to understand how you're leveraging the creative thing. So even for example, like the sports thing, like I have a lot of clients who have like really awesome college football presences in their cities and towns and stuff like that, right? And it's like if you can take one of your characters and just walk them through the tailgate, right, and get some cool footage of that, people are going to be like, "What the fuck is happening?" I don't know if I can curse, sorry, but people are going to really freak out and be like, "What is this?" Or if you're thinking of cool guerrilla things that we talked about, right, like go online and find the top 20 attractions in your town city and like put a character just standing there and get some creepy footage and then on your blog post you write we visited this place that place, you look up like whatever SEO said, like there's really cool creative things you can do just for the sake of making an impression and freaking people out and getting some word of mouth. But the important part is how that translates to the word of mouth. It's not just doing it, it is the second part that people normally completely overlook.
Good call.
So we're going to keep you on about 9 o'clock.
Sure.
We're going to have, let's see, we had a couple more questions, but
Sure.
before we answer those, tell us where we can find you next. I know it looks like you probably at a Midwest Hunters Convention.
Yeah. So we're gonna be at MHC. We're releasing our In the Flesh #2. So it's our second. Our chainsaws were the first one. This is our second one. The actual items are under wraps, unfortunately. Excuse me, until you get to the show and you figure out what they are. We will be releasing the name of this. It does have a name. Next week we'll be releasing what that is because we just like don't want to give away too much experience. But yeah, we'll be at MHC. We'll have a whole thing going on. I'm only bringing haunt dolls there. We're not gonna have a booth for Conjured, but of course, like I'll be there. So if you want to talk marketing, like I'll be there. So we can do that. That's fine. You can find us hauntdolls.com, conjured.media. So not conjuredmedia.com, conjured.media. And yeah, that's kind of where you can find all our stuff.
Now, I know you can't give away
Sure,
what you are going to be bringing to MHC, but
sure.
how many exclusive items? Like you can have
Ooh, that's a
one,
good question.
10,
Um,
1,000?
Yeah, I'll tell you guys that. So we're going to have different tiers of item. So similar to the chainsaws, if you recall, we had like a tiered pricing model. So the goal is that the people who are really interested, they can come early and they can like, they can buy their thing first. And then it'll kind of get more expensive as we go up. I believe I have to relook at the numbers. I think we're going to have 200 of one item. We're going to have, I think, 130 of another one, and then we're gonna have like 250 of another one. And it kind of like when you start, you'll get all of the items, and then once we kind of run out, you will then it's gonna kind of progressively go.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so we're gonna have crochet items, and we're gonna have other items as well, and it'll all be kind of like included experience.
Too bad I'm not going to be there, man,
Oh,
because
that sucks.
the stuff
Sorry.
is so cool. I
Thank
just,
you.
seeing it firsthand, it is absolutely incredibly cool.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And yeah, like the hope with doing these experiential things is really, again, we talked about brand building, we talked about really cool ways to get distribution, right? Like my hope with In the Flesh moving forward is that this is kind of that avenue where people really learn about the brand. They're like, this is so cool. Like we got to experience this thing. We get to have this limited edition item. And then of course, hey, like let's get a doll from there, right? So it's all that. It's all the same things we're talking about. Marketing is like, I think fundamentally the same for everything. It's just how you're applying it. So again, trying to take those skills that I've learned over the years of doing this and apply it to a brand like Haunt Dolls.
So you've known everything except for crocheting. Okay,
Yes, that
got
is
it.
that is the one thing I refuse to do. Have I tried my hand at coffin making? I must admit I have. Um, but I will not crochet. That is the line, and we gotta have lines in our lives at some point.
So you're a knitter then. Okay, good to know.
No, I'm not. Can you tell that I'm not relaxed enough to? I feel like you have to have some ability to chill. That is not me, clearly.
No, no.
Uh, Japes was wondering what's this in the flesh things, but you can't really say what those things are, right?
Um, did you want me to explain like what the concept is? Because
Yeah.
What did you have at Transworld?
yeah. Well, so
Because you
Transworld,
can
yeah, I can talk
show
about
some
it.
of those exclusive items, maybe?
Yeah, for sure. So Transworld, we have our chainsaws. So these were limited edition. There were only 50 of them. We sold 36, I think, or like I sold, like I really was like slinging saws, right? So, really hustled those saws a lot. But yeah, people really liked them. So those will never ever be sold again. I have some extras. So like if you're really nice and like find me a girlfriend or something, maybe I'll hook you up with one. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Pimping out the
Yeah, of
chainsaws.
course, pimps and chainsaws. That's like
Yeah.
that's my rap album actually. Funny enough. It's hard out here for a pimp. No, if you have a chainsaw, it's pretty easy. And I would say to people, it's not a pyramid scheme, it is a chainsaw. They like that. That was my line for the event. Um, but yeah, the In the Flesh collection, it is limited edition items that are only available in the flesh in person. So everything that we have at MHC, you can only get it at MHC. It'll never be available again. Just like our chainsaws are gone. You'll never be able to get one, unfortunately. So that's the goal. Is if you like what we're doing and you really want to get your hands on some of this stuff, you got to come hang out with us.
There's the chainsaw.
That's a chainsaw. And yeah, we're gonna have and after each one, so the website, in full disclosure, because as I mentioned off the call, obviously we're getting ready for MHC. This is a very tenuous time of much work to be done. Um, so I got the website up to as much of a place as it can be pre MHC, and there'll be like a little bit more. Um, but yeah, so like after we do each one, especially this one because we're collaborating with a bunch of different people. So I will mention them because that's cool. Got to shout them out. So I mentioned KDA Illustrator, guy out of Kentucky who did like all the art design for what we're doing. Brandy Beast is working on the costumes for us. Moonhowler Productions is building the booth and helping with all of that stuff. Japes, as you just mentioned, Lost Souls, he's our talent manager, wrangling all the actors involved in this experience. So there's a lot of moving parts, a lot of people, a lot of things happening, and not a lot of time to put it together. So we gotta keep hustling. Um, but yeah, so after this, we'll have like a full breakdown on that page. So obviously, if you weren't there, or if you were and you want to, learn about all the people involved and all that kind of stuff. The other one thing I will add, I mentioned this at Transworld, and we weren't really sure how we're going to do it. So the way we're doing it this time is when you get your promo items, we're going to have what I call artist cards. So these are cards, Brandy Beast has one, Japes has one, Moonhowler, and they're all signed. So individual cards that have like, a bio about the people involved, they're all signed, contact information. So like everyone involved with the experience will be able to be like, hey, these are the people who put it together. So it's kind of like, I like that idea of being like, hey, these are the people involved, and like you get that kind of personal touch. Plus, it's all signed by all the people and everything like that. So it's hopefully a good promotion for those creators.
Craig again was asking about using not sites like 99 Designs for video editing, for the
For
commercials, for your
video
commercials.
editing, 99
Uh,
Designs.
yeah,
Isn't that
it's like a crowdsourcing site.
yeah?
Like
Isn't it like one of those things where it's like you pay like $15 and like they'll send you like
so
20 things?
yeah, it's different. There's different people doing different things
Oh,
on
okay,
there, kind of like Fiverr.
got you.
Fiverr was one, and 99
Sure,
Designs. They make logos and stuff, video
got
editing
you.
type of things.
Um,
Just trying to keep his budget reasonable.
sure.
So
So with anything creative in haunted houses specifically, so like I'm trying to think of how best to explain this. So like if you have like a technical need for like I just need something edited and these are the parameters, I'm gonna like walk this person through it and you're gonna guide the process, then and they're just like, working the controls, I guess, then like it doesn't really matter. Um but like things like flyer design or like making videos, um one of the things that we've really learned over the years and kind of like built this whole business on of Conjured, it's like the concept of how to make things that look professional and are still horror-esque, but are not too much of the other, if that makes sense. So like, for example, like the flyer designs that we do, like, you're on our website, if you go to like the graphic design section, right? Like finding graphic designers who know how to make good stuff that looks professional in horror and doesn't look like, some crazy guy with like Microsoft Paint made it. It's it just sounds like, yeah, like you just go on Upwork or Fiverr and you find a guy to make you. It is not like we've had we've had people that like are great graphic designers for just they work as graphic designers, right? And we pay them and like, hey, here's a folder of all the assets. Here is a flyer that we like. Just make your own version of that. Like here's like you just have to make it. And what we get back is like so insane. Like how did you even come up? Like it's just so miles away from where we want to be, right? Um, it's such a specific thing, horror haunted houses, like that most people for some whatever like they do not have that eye for this kind of thing. So
Mm-hmm.
like that's also one of the reasons of like, when it comes to Conjured and like the package price and stuff, like because to build teams of people who could do the quality of work that like that is the expensive part. Like I can't just hire some guy off Craigslist with a camera or like find a graphic designer. Like you can only work with really good people, and those people like they're not cheap. Like you have to pay them, right? And I have no problem paying them. It's obviously that I have to get paid in order to pay them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so it's like kind of how I view Conjured. Like one of the big business decisions that we made kind of from the beginning was being much more like a smaller niche shop, doing really high quality, limited work, like bigger packages as opposed to a lot of smaller stuff. Because that you can set it up that way, but like I felt like the quality was going to be lower. It was going to be more of a pain to do a ton less at like a high quality. Like it just wouldn't be possible. You'd have to really dump stuff down and use a lot of stock stuff. So that's kind of how we engineered it to be more on the bigger side. So like we have a range of packages and stuff, but that like super cheap Fiverr dude, we cannot. I always tell people like if that's your budget, no worries. Like go hire that dude, see if it works out, and
I
hopefully it
know,
does.
I know even AI is kind of getting smart about chopping things up and
Sure.
doing things, but I haven't ventured out that far yet.
A-
My son
AI
does
is
graphic
good.
design, so I'm like, hey, I need
Oh yeah,
something
I saw.
done. You just kind of whip this
Oh
out.
yeah, didn't he just get like certified? I think I saw that on your Facebook.
Yeah,
Congrats,
yep,
that's awesome. That's
yeah.
really cool.
He's one of those tech kids. So
Nice, nice. But yeah, AI is great in terms of like AI is just simply a tool like everything else, right? So it's how you're applying that thing. So, um, I actually just saw a post recently of people like complaining about haunts using AI stuff and then like bitching that like, oh, we went there and it's nothing like any of this, and it's like, yeah, because it's AI generated,
yeah,
obviously.
I've seen that too.
Um, but yeah, it's like you don't have like the control so much. Like something like Midjourney, for example, like we use that a lot in terms of like concepting. So for example, like in the Flash you were just looking at, um, I was not able to find like a reference of like, hey, I need something that looks like flesh that was, like sewn together that says flesh. Um, so I use like something like Midjourney to get something similar, so that way I can talk to KDA did this, so I could talk to him and be like, hey, like this is kind of what I'm thinking, and then then he does it, and then rounds revisions to get the
Mm-hmm.
final thing, right? Same with like character design. So like this dude in the back, right? Like um, I work with a really awesome character designer. We designed a different mascot for the brand as well. Just haven't had a chance to do anything with him, but it's like it's really fascinating when you work with artists, especially when you have like a vision for what you want to do, because like I do a lot of like lookbooks, reference stuff, and like a lot of notes, and I'm like, here's everything, and then they'll come back with something, and it's usually like so far off from what's in your head, which is totally fine. Like that's the process, and then through notes you like refine that, right? But if you just don't have those people that have that skill or background, like I think probably getting to that point of where this is awesome, like I just think it's gonna be so much harder for you to get there, if that makes sense. So
Yeah, it's definitely a talent to take all the ideas on a notebook and then make one image and like or several images and you're like, yeah, that's it right there.
yeah,
That's what I know, but
exactly.
just like designing the Scare Badge, Daryl did a great job on the Scare Badge logo, but um my haunted house logo, I was like, took me forever. I had
Yeah,
so many ideas in my head. And I feel sorry for the guy that made it. I was back and forth, back and forth. Let's change this color. Let's make this gear bigger. Let's do this,
exactly.
but it got to the point where I'm like, that's it, man. That's the
Yeah,
one right there. So
that's the process, and it's like for a while I was trying to think of like how to make the process more efficient, and then I kind of just realized like no, that's just the process. Like you just have to go through you anything you're working on, you just have to go through those revisions, and like you're gonna wherever you start is it's gonna be so far out of left field.
Yeah.
You're like, how do we even get here, right? But it's totally fine. Like as long as you know the person has the skills to do it, and you have that like the bones of what you're looking for, then you're good to go. And I think that's so if you want to take away from this, right? Like that's how you get the understanding if the person you're working with like gets this kind of thing. If there's like no bones and it's totally out of left field, then you're like, we're probably not gonna make much progress. Like even the Conjured logo, for example. This is a fun story. I don't think I told this when I was last here. Maybe I did. So we did hire a guy from Upwork who had like an amazing portfolio. Not so much of horror stuff, but like a really good logo designer. Sent him some concepts of things we were thinking, and like the first drafts that he sent us, like a bunch of them, they were so terrible. I was like to Nick at the time, like, what mistake did we do with the no money we have? Like, how do we end
Mhm.
up here? Um, and I literally just like drew this symbol on like a piece of paper and gave it to him, and I was like, please just make this an Illustrator and call it a day, and we'll still pay you. That's totally fine. Just do that, and he did that. And there we go. That's our logo now.
I see your C and the M's in there,
Yep,
right?
exactly.
Okay.
So we wanted something that was like very minimal because like our style is kind of on that minimal, sleek side, but still
Mm-hmm.
have like pentagram-esque or Skrillex-esque was kind of the design. Like our branding is like pretty much all black and white and pretty
Mhm.
has that horror-y but slick kind of look to it. But yeah, the C and the M for the logo, they're Batman ears as I called them. And yeah, and people every year at Transworld are always coming up because I have that on the backdrop, and they're always like, "Oh, I've seen this somewhere," or like, "Oh, that's really cool." So I mean, it's and I actually at Transworld had a whole conversation with a guy of does does your logo matter? That was a fascinating conversation. That was like a 30-minute conversation that he actually came back and apologized the next day for wasting 30 minutes of my time, which I thought was hilarious. But it was a really good conversation. I actually really liked it. We had a whole debate on whether your logo is important, so that was cool.
So is it or not?
That was the question. That was the 30 minutes of conversation. I was like, it depends what your vision for your brand is.
I think it's yeah.
If you're
It's got to be
building
consistent,
right,
right?
if you're trying to build a brand that people will recognize by your logo, um, and your brand stands for something and has like all these identifiers, in that case your logo matters because people will see your logo and and connect that to your brand. If just off the top of my head, if you're like some like random restaurant that like they kind of like you know what I mean, like there's those restaurants that just kind of like pulled some logo out of some random like clip art kind of thing, and it's like they just come up with some random name and that's like our restaurant, and like, there's no
Yeah,
anything to it.
Comic Sans,
Or
Exactly.
papyrus.
Exactly. Like it comes to mind like Chinese restaurants usually have these like bizarre names. Maybe not so much here, but like yeah, even in Chicago, like I go to Eat First Chinese or like back on Long Island, they're like they just have these like random names and like uh those brands don't have necessarily like any like connection to what you're doing per se. They're just like we needed a name that is like so out there for some. I don't know. We should look into the naming of Chinese restaurants. That's fascinating too. But yeah, that was kind of the conclusion that we
but yeah,
came
but
up with.
but once you're a business owner and you do that stuff, I tend to even go to businesses out, restaurants,
Hmm.
hotels, and I'm like, man, they could do this so much better. You're
Yeah.
like, or then you see when they really got it, you're like, oh, their branding is on
Well,
because
that's the other thing is like so I was a DJ back in the day, and so it's kind of like that like ancient wisdom of like you become cursed with knowledge, right? So it's like because I became a DJ, like when I'd go to like a bar or something, or and like I hear a DJ like train wrecking and I can't make like it disturbs my brain. Like I can't. I'm much better now, I'm a reformed DJ as I say, but like I can't. Or like if two people are playing two separate things of music in my head, it's like it is not matched, so it like freaks me out. And same deal like branding, graphic design, anything business like so yeah, like you'll find yourself just walking into businesses and being like, this is bad, this is great. Or like here in
yeah,
Chicago there was this brewery where the guy had like amazing branding and merchandise, and I just like walked up, so like he looked at the I was like, are you the owner? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, your branding is amazing. And he's like, oh thanks, like people don't really tell me that. I was like, it's so cool. But like I don't know, you wouldn't have these conversations if you're like not cursed by looking at this stuff all the time. So I feel you 100%.
yeah. Well, so let us know again where we can find you again.
For sure.
And yeah, do it one more time.
Yeah. So we're gonna be at Midwest Haunters Convention this June 6th through 8th. The show is starting on the 7th. So I think the Hauntor starts at 6, so that's why it's 6. But anyway, Saturday and Sunday, Midwest Haunters Convention, we're unveiling our In the Flesh #2 experience. That should be really awesome. You're gonna get your limited edition In the Flesh items as well as get a cool experience out of it. So definitely come check us out there. Um, We will be opening up potentially a pre-sale for that next week. We will see, just so that we can make sure that people who are really, really interested, who really want to do it, can get in early at the cheapest price because it has that cascading price point. Social media is at haunt.dolls on everything. Instagram and Facebook are the best for us. On the Conjured Media side, it is conjured.media. Facebook, Instagram at conjured no dot, which I'm now realizing we have 2 dots flying around in opposite directions on each domain and/or handle. So that's interesting. So there you go. So just keep typing dots until something pops up, and you'll get close.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what we got going on. But yeah, thank you guys. I really appreciate you having me back on. It's been a while.
Well, it's good chatting with you. And again, I feel bad that I'm not going to be able to make it to MHC and get some of the limited edition items. But
I appreciate it, man.
it sounds like you got a couple of hundred items, so or a few different items,
Yep.
and into the hundreds of each. So there's a few people that will be able to get some of these exclusive things.
Hopefully, everyone who wants one that can. I'm sorry you can't come. That's unfortunate. And but yeah, hopefully everyone
Silly.
who wants it will be able to get some cool stuff. That is the hope.
Daryl, we need to kick around that idea again about making exclusive badges for scare badges at each trade show
Yeah.
we go to. So,
Yeah,
And
or even exclusive badges for some of our vendors that we met at Transworld. But we'll
ooh,
talk about that
that's
one
coming
later.
up.
Yeah.
That's coming
We'll
up.
talk
Stay
about
tuned.
that later.
I
We'll
mean,
keep
tuned.
everybody in suspense.
we've had some
Mhm.
conversations, you and I, about some potential things, collaborative
Exactly.
endeavors would be cool.
Yes.
That'd
Stay
be fun.
But
tuned.
before everybody gets too excited, we'll put a wrap on that one. We'll
Yeah.
zip the mouth shut, and we'll let people find you at MHC for both Haunt Dolls and for Conjured Media.
Awesome.
Might be an In the Flesh prize coming up. Who knows? One
Ooh.
year. Yeah.
Oh,
that'd
the
be
other
nice.
thing, on our website, on the In the Flesh page, if you scroll down, you'll see like a sign up form. So if you're, watching this and you're really interested and you definitely want to we definitely want to come experience this, fill out that form. That way we can send out an email before the show. And then if we do the pre-sale, which I think we will, or at very least you can, we can reach out to you to be like, hey, like come.
But you have to be
Early.
there in the flesh to
You
pick
do
it
have,
up.
correct. You have to be there. You can't not be present in the flesh.
Such a tease.
If you do send a robot that has you on webcam, I might consider that as an exception.
That might
Not
be
like-
pretty
Okay.
cool.
Not
Yeah.
like you like on a phone. Like if you like have like an actual like automatoid or something. That would be interesting. I might be that might bend the rules just a tad.
Wouldn't that be in the nuts? No, never mind. In the bolts. In the bolts. Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
You get the in the nuts exception. I love that.
Yeah. Have a wonderful weekend. Have a wonderful show. And I hope all of our folks out here enjoy it and are able to make it to you guys.
Thanks to you guys. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Alex. We'll
Excellent.
see you next time, bud.
Take care, man.
Peace.
This podcast episode sponsored by Scare It Badges. Get your Scare badges at scarebadges.com. Also sponsored by Haunter's Toolbox. Take your haunt to the next level at haunterstoolbox.com. Thank you for listening to Haunt Topic Radio. Please leave a comment wherever you found this podcast. Each comment you leave will help spread the word to other haunters around the world. See you next time.